Welcome back to what Arty Noobs with General Disturbance. This is a Bat Chat 15555, the Tier 9 French SPG. It's located on the southwest spawn of Westfield, and it's under the command of SlyMeerkat. Now, just waiting until the final seconds of the countdown finish, and we'll be off. Okay, well, 155mm is the caliber. It's got a reload time 22.88 seconds and an alpha damage of 750, penetrating 48mm of armour and a burst radius of 8 meters. Now, as usual, in battles like this, he's aiming straight towards the north to the heavies, where they're going to engage in the northwest corner of the map. The medium tanks are making their way up to the southeast corner. Most Arties tend to focus on the heavies because if they can help their guys by stunning the enemy, then it can make a real big difference. Plus, of course, these heavy tanks slugging it out mean that you get lots and lots of hit point potential. Well, it looks like our friendly Arty, the other Bat Chat 155, just hit that T10, so we're going for the E75 instead, and a direct hit for 200. Now, this Arty has a turret which swings all the way around, and one of the things is that when you relocate and move, it actually does tend to reset the turret so it points in the direction of travel. So one of the quickest ways to actually bring the gun to bear on the target is actually to turn the vehicle to face the enemies. Well, just got a hit on the Type 4, but only for 150, I'm afraid, on that occasion. And you can see moving the vehicle, he's actually moving it whilst he's actually in the aim. And you can do that with the Bat Chat, that's perfectly possible. I found it's not a problem at all. He's sitting down in the dip, not going up onto the heights like the other Bat Chat. That was a direct hit on the IS-3 too, which is a very useful hit there because that guy is very deadly with two guns. Now he's looking over towards the village. Or is he? No, he's actually looking for a counter battery there. So he's looking at the northeast corner of the map on that occasion, just to see if he could spot any enemy Arty tracer. Rounds out the Type 4. Direct hit again. 211. With a reload time of 22 seconds, which is, well, quite a lot better than some of the Tier 7 Arties. The 155mm armed M12 has a reload time which is actually slightly longer than this one. It means you can not only fire more shells which can do more DPM, but it also means you can spread the damage around more enemy tanks. He's now going for the Object 257, mark the ground next to it to let his teammates know that's where he's going. Rounds out. It looked like that one was near, but not quite close enough, I'm afraid, on this occasion. He's moving to a new firing position. Okay, waiting for the aim to dial in. Rounds out. That was a good one. 365. We didn't see what happened with the shell to see if it actually did impact. Okay, he's going for the Type 4 Heavy again. It really does help if you communicate with your teammates, because then you can ensure that both parties are firing at the right target at the right time. In a battle like this, it can sometimes be very effective for different Arties to be firing at different targets, so you don't duplicate the effort. After all, if one target stuns one enemy, another Arty can be targeting and stunning another enemy, and that means your teammates have more stunned opponents to actually fire at. Well, he's aiming over at this Type 61 on the southeast corner of the map at the moment because he's the only one being held back by a Skoda T50. Unfortunately, lost sight of the Type 61, so he's decided to change his approach. He's going to go back to the northwest corner. M46 pattern, tier 9 American medium. Trying to line up a shot, but he's having to adjust his aim quite a bit. So instead he decides he's going to go for that IS-32, who's a one-shot, rounds out, and he's gone. And that's his first kill. Now it's handy as well that he's actually moved to the position he's actually in, next to this house. Not only gives him a bit of protection from enemy Arty, but it also protects him from being seen by any enemy that's approaching from the south-east corner. Type 61 has been found now. He's lining up a shot, rounds out. Yes! Good hit as well, 348, low roll penetration shot, no penetration shot, rather. He's trying to use the barn and poke his head round the corner, waiting for the reload to go in. Okay, he's now adjusting his aim to go after the pattern. They've managed to kill most of the enemy in the northwest corner, so it's now in the end game. And he just needs to get shots on these guys as they're running back to their cap. There's the pattern. Rounds out. He did that rather quickly, but he's still got a direct hit and wiped out the pattern. That was a lucky shot because he wasn't dialed in at the time, and it still hit the target bang on. Now, I don't recommend that. I do recommend you do dial in on target. It does make the shells that much more accurate. Okay, he's now looking in the northeast corner of the map. The turret hasn't turned round there. It's turned round. The reticule suddenly appears. And the nearest enemy is now that strip 1030, or rather the nearest enemy that's been spotted. And although you see an explosion there, I think that's just effects that have come in after 1.9. You fire around at something in the distance and you see the shell explode very, very close, but in actual fact the shell did travel the entire distance. It's just a peculiar throwback, I suppose, from the game mechanics. Okay, another very unusual thing that Sly's doing is actually moving quite a distance away from his initial spawn position. I know a lot of Arty players, especially myself, tend to like to move towards the end game because they get closer to the enemy, they can get more accurate shots on the enemy, and they've got more likelihood of getting a close shot or a direct hit. He's found the Waffenträger. He fired without dialing in, and there you see that explosion shot, but we didn't get to see what happened to the shell, and all we saw was the Waffenträger was stunned, so don't know where the shell went. So when you do that, actually, it makes it disinteresting to watch the game because all you see is an Arty firing, moving about, and not actually what happened to the shot. Of course, you don't do that with a tank. Well, he did get a hit there with a standard B. If a tank fires a shell, you stay to watch to see if you actually hit him before deciding what you're going to do with your next shot. In an Arty, well, I'm afraid some Arty players have this tendency to fire and immediately come out of aim view because they're not really concerned to watch what happens to the shell, and that just makes it so boring for everyone who's taken the time and trouble to actually watch a replay. Rounds out in the Bat Châtillon, and he's done it again. And you see that explosion in the air. And yet again, we don't know what happened to the shell. Unfortunately, if you keep doing this, we'll just have to stop doing your replays because they'll be so disinteresting. And now you're trying to mount a building. Yep, that's not going to work. Are you really paying attention, or is a meerkat trying to jump on top of you? Oh dear. Let's have a look at the end of battle stats. Well, it was an ace tanker for SlyMeerkat in the Bat Châtillon on 155.55. He managed to get a Bruce medal for getting at least 5 critical hits. He got 10, but no other medals in that game. If we look at the team scores, we can see he didn't get the highest damage in the game. That actually went to a strip 1030, and he managed to get a 5 for effects, so obviously he didn't pick up a high caliber either. The high score by SlyMeerkat was 2576 in that game. And he was beaten by the Skoda T50 who got 2782 but didn't survive the game. When it came to kills, it was the standard B who did the best with 4 kills, and then there's a whole bunch of tanks with 2 kills apiece. And when it came to base XP, it was SlyMeerkat who did the best with 1080, and he was the only player to get over 1000 base experience points. He fired 15 rounds, got 8 direct hits, no penetrations, 14 splash. Damage of 2,576 hit points, all at more than 300 meters. Damaged 7 of the enemy, killed 2, so he missed out on a Confederate by 1 tank that he killed. Actually, if he'd hit 1 more opponent, he might have got a Confederate. 3,626 base stun assist off 12 stuns, and 36,092 credits for the game, 20,000 from personal missions payout, and after ammunition resupply, took away 57,338 credits altogether. 1,080 XP, 9,720 from personal missions payout, took away 11,340 altogether for the battle. So, pretty good that he got the ace tank. A bit disappointed that he's got into the habit of pulling away after shooting so that we don't get to see what happens to the shell. I just say to Sly, if you do that, then I'm afraid we have to stop using your replays because, well, they'd be boring to watch because all you're seeing is a vehicle firing, aiming at the enemy, firing, and then immediately coming out so we can't see what happens to the shell. And you'd never do that with a tank. You'd always watch to see what happened to the shot so you could decide what you're going to do next. And that's an important factor with Artys as well. And so do bear that in mind on future replays. Thanks very much for watching.